Okay, we thank you again for staying with us on the show TMI Monday morning, and we're looking at, we're reviewing the COVID-19 situation globally and locally based on recent development, recent revelations, and what is happening on a global scene. Back here, I mean, we don't see the face masks anymore. It looks like there's a lull on talks about it. But on a global stage, a different scenario altogether, particularly in China, where there seems to be, well, there's a lockdown. And then in some countries like Australia, recently they had to ease the lockdown, and there was some sort of celebrations in that continent. But back here in Africa, in Nigeria, and in other climes, in the US, UK, a whole lot of things have happened. We have here of Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has been the arrowhead in the COVID-19 campaign globally, and the World Health Organization seems to have also had a lull in some of the things they say about the pandemic. Well, at some point, it was about the pandemic. At some stage, we moved over to vaccines. That became a major talking point. Today, nothing seems to be coming forth on all of that. I'd like to welcome very especially a professor of genetics from Novena University, Delta State, Professor Cyril Otoikia, who has been on this platform on several occasions, extreme latest development as far as the COVID-19 is concerned. Prof, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So do you feel fulfilled and satisfied that many of the things, in fact, let me be modest, that's why I'm using the word many. I probably would have said all the things you said. Many of the things that you said about COVID-19, they've come to pass. And where are we today in terms of the pandemic?
Thank you, Sonny Duke. I am a kind of person, I don't celebrate myself because knowledge is unending. But however, I think with the kind of applause I'm getting across the world from scientists who are calling severally and even messaging to appreciate that contest I gave to COVID-19, I think it's worth celebrating. So I feel people are already celebrating me, and that is making me to celebrate myself too. So if you look at it from where we started from and where we are now, a lot has happened. You just mentioned that China, another lockdown has started in China. See, let me emphasize here that under normal conditions, the world should even shut down China, because that is the source of what was presented to people as COVID-19. And from where I approached it as a geneticist, I knocked off the gray areas on it in terms of giving people falsehood information that would divert people's thinking. Like when the issue of virus being a living thing came up, I said, no, it does not have a cell, so it can't be a living thing. It cannot regenerate. So whatever they are producing is man-made. They produce it, and what they call replication is disintegration. You break it into smaller particles, where each particle has the same chemical properties, like the entire molecule or whatever you classify it. And we are still there. And I also signaled that whatever is called vaccine has an active ingredient, and that active ingredients are part of the earth crust. They are chemical substances. We bring them out and we package them in a means to get to the people to achieve certain purpose. For COVID-19 from day one, I have said there was nothing to bother about COVID-19 as the initial stage, not until when vaccines will come. Because what they have given to us as the killing factor will be bottled up and will be called vaccine and will be administered to the people. Okay, thank God, even the federal ministry has ended the sort of threatening you and I over nose masks. What did they do different? Or what did nose masks achieve in the whole scenario? Nothing. Outside the fact that one of two of those nose masks that were also sent to Nigeria had the same virus. And when you tie it to your nose, then you inhale it. Then the effect will come later. I have said science is practical. And when issue comes up and is scientific, look at it scientifically. Don't bring politics into it. And we saw the drama here and there. You have acts of Fauci. It's a drama series. And Fauci came in and has done his own part, and he's gone. So he's silent. You can't see Fauci again. Nobody will mention him again. He has completed that part he has to play. And what is that part? That as a virologist, he has what it takes to be able to give the concept that will create fear, and people will follow suit. He works in Wuhan lab. He is one of the most highest paid in Wuhan lab. Buta is another one. And late Elizabeth, I mentioned her at the early stage of COVID-19 pandemic, that Elizabeth, before her death, exhibited symptoms quite similar, more than 85% of COVID-19. And what was her problem? She was preparing a virus. Where was she doing it? Not in my house. She was in Wuhan lab. Wuhan lab is China, and Elizabeth is an American.
What was she doing in China?
What was she doing there? And at a time, I think, I made an attempt, and thank God it yielded the result I wanted. To be able to tell an American sitting president that will understand a lot of the part of this game of virus marketing. And I did wrote at the instance of an American security agent who watched one of my video on this station and called me directly from America and said, write to my president. Because even some persons are trying to sell your ideas to him. I want you to be the first to notify him. I wrote American president before he left. I'm talking of Trump. And I signaled to him that don't point at China at all. Because the 5 senior scientists in China that works in the lab are your citizens. They are your citizens. And they are paid heavily. And they are world-respected persons. So why don't you look inward and see how you will approach this thing? Then you will get the light to what COVID-19 actually is. And today, we thank God, COVID-19 is not a living thing. The world has come to agree on that. I think it's part of my celebration. And two, everything is dropping the way we have predicted it. That the nose mask will not remain forever. The nose mask is gone. The vaccine will not remain forever. There is a period where they will administer it. But let me ask you a question. And let's ask ourselves, the whole world should sit down to ask ourselves this question. Has any person been able to bring out a sample of the vaccine and put on the table? And let's see what is the active ingredient in all the vaccines that are being administered to people? No. Nobody has dared it. Even those who will try it will keep it secret. I don't understand why NAFDAC has not done that. I've challenged them severally. At least I was on a virtual conference organized by NDA and NUC. NUC is Nigeria University Commission, and NDA. A friend of mine was even telling me, don't go there. Don't show up your face. You are talking of NDO. They could psych you to bring you out and cut. I said, no. There is something they are driving at. And that conference yielded something because even the chairman of the Federal Committee on response to COVID-19 said the spray chamber at the entrance of Aso Rock is nonsense. And I congratulated him for airing that because I was just given 2 minutes
to talk.
And I advised him, I said, why don't you people go home and rest and allow these white people do all their games in terms of marketing virus and watch them like footballers in the field. And when they are done, then you come out and release yourself. You don't bother yourself.
Okay, fantastic. Something that you brought to the fore in the course of our discussions on COVID-19 was the issue of active ingredient in the vaccines. I recall you said you suspected that the vaccine content could possibly be heavy metals. Has that been substantiated? Have you been together on that?
Seriously, because I remember there was one of our program here where I demanded they show a clip of the World Health Organization weekly reports where I questioned through my phone, a message on Facebook, and I said, what is the active ingredient in Sinovac vaccine, the new one you just discovered? And they mentioned it. One of the panelists out of the two, there's a lady and the other guy. The guy mentioned it. He said, let me help let me help her. I said, God, I've caught this one. He said, active ingredient. He mentioned it. Let everybody go back to that video. It's still online. It was open. They wrote it there. And it's a heavy metal. And there is no heavy metal that is friendly to the cell. The cell is sensitive. It's God-made. And when it enters the body, it must manifest.
Absolutely.
Okay, now talking about the restrictions and the whole COVID-19 precautionary measures that were put in place then, and seeing that these particular measures have been relaxed. They're no longer, like, if we're talking about parties, social gatherings, and the rest. Do you think, in the first place, this could have actually helped to, bring a stop to it?
My sister, don't bother yourself. They were not even cautionary measures. No, they were not precautionary measures. They were conditions to frustrate human beings to accept what is coming. I've said it severally. It's not conditions that were designed to protect the persons. See, when virus marketing comes to play, everybody, every human living has that openness to receive it. So whatever they bring in terms of say, okay, let's guide the humans, is nonsense. It doesn't work with what the real original plan is.
Are you saying those measures were unscientific?
They were highly unscientific. I've just told you that one of the channels where heavy metal gets to the people is through nose masks. Take a sample of the nose mask. I called that time and I signaled through different media. Take samples of that nose mask that was imported and carry out chemical analysis, and you see presence of those heavy metals they are talking about. We will continue to drive it. Why up to now has that vaccine not been put on the table? I have sent some of my research students. I'm a researcher. I have sent several research students. And the topics we were looking at has to be aborted. Do you know why? Because what we are even told that are available, they are not even available. Like I remember I met one of them on this program, and who is the response person to the state government on COVID-19. And I questioned him. It was a simple question. What are you people doing in isolation center? Those isolation centers, I have secretly sent my research students. Nothing anywhere. Nothing. If you doubt it, carry cameras and let's go to where he mentioned. I think he mentioned UBTH that day. And let's go to UBTH. And let them show us the isolation center. There was a program I also referred people to. Don General went in search for, in view of those isolation center. And we saw guys who were dancing and who said they have just eaten pounded yam and chicken and fried rice and this and all that. Those were live pictures because it was video and live program. And we saw all that. I have asked severally, Federal Ministry of Health, bring one dead person, dead body from COVID-19. Put it on the table. Show us what your COVID-19 is, and I will show you inside that dead body what COVID-19 is. Fact, actual, and you will see it. If actually any person died of COVID-19.
But we had daily reports, updates for,
on COVID updates. But we don't see that. We don't see that anymore.
Yes.
Yes.
Everything has stages. In drama, everything comes in stage. So there are stages where they do all those.
You call it in drama.
Yes, you remember
the cast.
You remember I referred to those figures were seen as just open statistics, just to capture the persons. Where did they bury all the dead ones? Even in Edo State, where are the dead ones? Where did they bury them? I know of so many cemeteries in Benin, for example. Any dead body from COVID-19, where did they bury them?
Okay, what about those who actually had this COVID-19 and recovered from it? Some of them actually came out and said, I had COVID one time.
But I recovered from it, yeah.
We have prominent people who actually, came out or, say, I was sick, I just took some time off office, out of office.
My sister, those prominent persons who came out to say, I am sick of COVID-19, it's because they were told they had COVID-19. They are not doctors. They cannot even assess themselves. So because they were told they have COVID-19, if I had gone to any hospital that time, maybe I travel far from my environment, and I pretend to be shaking and all that, and sneezing. Do you understand? Definitely they will give me COVID-19 card.
A lot of people actually were running from hospitals at that time because
for fear of being diagnosed with COVID-19.
Particularly my grandfather, he didn't want to go to the hospital.
And they were even safer. Those who ran away from the hospital and the government themselves were even safe. I was very safe, and now I am still very healthy. Some of you who have been on this challenge, have we vanished? Has Kogi State gone out of Nigeria map?
Not at all.
That state is still existing. The humans there are still alive. The governor travels everywhere and is still doing well. He has not vanished. COVID-19 has not finished all of them. Outside the drama that we watched in the federal team that came to Kogi State, that drama, in fact, I have asked Kogi governor to present it to Nollywood organization so that they would dramatize it and let people continue to watch it, what happened behind the scene, where those who came to advertise vaccine were threatened, take one and let's see before we will take. And they ran away. They ran back to Abuja.
Are you serious?
Yes. I was giving the story completely. They ran away. And since then, I have told that governor, watch your people. Just don't allow them to come in. When you allow them to come, they will come with the virus. So when you take vaccine, for example, you are bringing the virus close to yourself.
So are you saying it's more harmful to take the vaccine than not to have the vaccine?
It's safer not to have the vaccine.
Like the vaccinated ones are more prone to...
Oh, if there is any way you will check, let's test everybody who has taken doses of that vaccine and check the active ingredient on the one inside the bottle yet to be dispensed. If you will see the tracking of the heavy metals that they are distributing to the people. Okay. And that is why Fauci, he has gone, he has completed the stage.
Okay. In recent times, we're seeing an upsurge again of COVID in China, the lockdown. Don't you foresee a possibility of another round of global lockdown?
Let me tell you my fear about China. Wuhan lab cannot close, and they must be on business. And what do I mean by business? They must continue to produce virus. Remember that even Fauci has told us that in time to come, there are more epidemics that will come. So why was he able to predict that? Because Wuhan lab must continue to exist. People like Fauci must continue to work. And set of new researchers in terms of virologists must be built up to replace those who are leaving Wuhan lab. Wuhan lab is a source of virus to every human race. That is the only lab. And if you read the history of Wuhan lab, it was America that built Wuhan lab. It wasn't China that built Wuhan lab. Find out the history about Wuhan lab. And it's under control by companies owned by Bill Gates. Bill Gates has that world license to produce virus. Find out. And that is why at the helm of every affair, Glasgow company is always mentioned. Who owns Glasgow company? Find out. So Wuhan lab will continue to exist because that business of virus marketing must continue. And that business of virus marketing is aligned directly with population control. Because remember that at every set of life or at a certain stage in life, there is always this issue of the world is threatened with overpopulation. The issues of overpopulation comes in. And it takes my mind back always, like I always tell my students in class before I leave, after my lecture, I say, remember that Matters theory in economics is about population, depopulation. And if you read and study that principle, it's clear that there are times the population, world population must be controlled. And how do they go about it?
Exactly the question I wanted to ask.
And he made mentions of ways they use to control population. And the first one is virus. You send virus to the people, and it kills. Then another one is organized war. And you just wake up and you see one country A fighting country B and killing millions of people dying. And at the end of the day, when they now settle that conflict, you will not know what exactly caused the war, but you will see the end of the war. But remember that they have achieved that population control, which Matters theory talked about. So virus marketing is of old, and we come and continuously come like that. And differences in fear factor will make it look, is this one the same with what we experience so yet? Then you will not be thinking of, oh, no, it looks different. Maybe actually virus exists. Virus are part of the earth crust. They came from creation, and God separated it from man. But man has that zeal in terms of population control to bring it close to the people. If I have been challenging federal government of Nigeria, I am a researcher. Bring sample, put it on the table. Don't believe on what Glasgow company has told you. Put it on the table. We are scientists. Are they more intelligent than ourselves? If they are more intelligent than we do, I think by now, people would have been mentioning more of our age than Professor Siri across the world. Is it not?
Okay. All right.
It's simple and it's clear.
All right. Let's quickly look at another dimension to this conversation. There's a science revolving, there's nanoscience that is trending right now. Nanoparticles, nanochemistry, nanophysics, engineering, nanoscience. What is the connection between nanoscience and COVID-19?
Nano means small particles, finish. All those nano chicken, nano turkey, nano this is just to keep people busy. Nano means small, minute particle, very small that the eyes cannot see it. It takes electron microscope to bring the shape and the figures out. So when you talk of nanoparticles, heavy metals are the most common nanoparticles you can get in the atmosphere and in the earth crust.
So do they exist naturally?
They exist, everything exists.
But can they be produced artificially?
Oh, they cannot even be produced artificially. They are only being modified artificially in order of being able to now channel it to the people. Let's go back a little bit to when COVID-19 started. You remember they mentioned bat? Bat is an animal.
Yeah.
And I said, I am a professor of animal genetics. And I said, in bat, there is package and heavy load of heavy metal. And that is why that animal behaves seriously abnormal. When they sleep upside down. Find out the heavy metal that is inside the bat. It was one of the source of where they got their heavy metals that they use, and they amplify it in Wuhan lab. Wuhan lab does not generate those heavy metals. Heavy metals are part of the earth crust. They redefine it into different forms so that they can channel it out. That is all they do in Wuhan lab. That's what they do. So the bat, when they mentioned the bat, it signaled me, and I went straight and I found out that mercury as a heavy metal is highly loaded in bat. And how do they get it? They eat fruits and they eat leaves from plants. When you burn your automobiles or companies that use coal, when you burn coal, for example, heavy metals are released to the atmosphere. And they blow, the wind blows it, and they hang on fruits and leaves and they go, they fall to the ground.
Accumulate.
Good. So when they hang on fruits and the bat goes feeding, they consume them. And I have said severally that they are chemical substances and that the cell is sensitive to chemical substances. So they can never be absorbed into the cells. So they accumulate. And when they accumulate, then you see side effect from that accumulation. And that is what they did in the home lab. And that is from where they produce that principle of how to channel COVID-19. They thought, no scientists, because you and I does not have access to Wuhan lab, nobody will be able to predict. But they made the mistake of their life by mentioning some certain concepts. So when they mentioned the bat, and I knew where they were going to, and I as an animal scientist, I went into the life of bat, and I discovered that mercury as a heavy metal is inside the bat, and it makes them behave abnormally. And I went further to find out the effect of this heavy metal on the body, different heavy metals. When you sum up class of heavy metals, effect on human cells together, you will get all symptoms of COVID-19. So those people that were telling you that they had COVID-19, if they know what COVID-19 is, they will tell you, God forbid, I never had COVID-19. It's just marketing.
But don't you think these all social distance
Yes.
and as well as face masks
Yes.
stay? Because aside COVID, I feel like it could have also helped us in other ways. Like, don't you think it has also come to stay?
It has come to stay. The stay we are talking about is the frustration is what has come to stay.
Like
That
some
is
of us
frustrating
are already used
people.
to giving space to people, sitting down,
Yes.
also, staying to ourselves.
Let me tell you one of the secrets between that distancing, so that there will be secrecy in our thinking, so that we won't open up to me quickly.
But people are not even observing that. I mean,
Who are really observing
you
it?
go to parties, you go to events, you find people not observing any social distance whatsoever. Because all of this information is not there in the public space. There are some of these things that we were made to believe from the beginning. They're not really holding water scientifically.
Science is practical. Even that distancing, they gave us the measurement that you must observe, isn't it? And why did they give it? Because when I sneeze, COVID will jump out. And if you are within that range, it will get to you and you will get COVID-19. Isn't it? That was the principle. Okay. How many of us were now taking within ourselves ruler and measuring tapes? So that at the time we are sitting, you measure the distance. I will say, Sonny Duke, shift, give me 4 feet or give me 6 feet.
It was actually told that your feet and stretching of hands.
You stretch your hand. But they don't even know that even within the atmosphere, those heavy metals we are talking about exist naturally. They are there. Even on the soil you match every day, they are there. And that is why the fish in the river
can accumulate it.
Can accumulate heavy metal. And when you eat the fish,
it's transferred to
and
you.
that heavy metal enters you. Then what symptoms you will exhibit will be the same exhibited by late Professor Elizabeth and whoever has died of COVID-19. That they are yet to show us up to now, with those millions they were counting. All those heavy figures. I'm still even seeing Nigeria featuring some figures. Now that they have asked me and everybody to stop using nose mask,
face mask,
and you can now go to churches, which me, I have been going to church. You can now go to parties. Let's see what difference is going to come up. No difference.
Okay.
From where we started, at the middle, and at the end where we are.
All right. It's always a delight to have Professor Cyril Toykan here to give us updates on COVID-19. I mean, just the same way you're seeing it, but scientific perspective is always important for us to have a clearer understanding of some of these concepts. From all that we have today, going forward, what is the future like as far as COVID-19 is concerned?
Yes, like I've always signaled, let everybody remain on guard, because more pandemics will come. They will even be more scary, so that they will easily achieve that depopulation principle.
If your philosophy is for people not to take this thing seriously, What about the effect of population control? You don't take it serious. You definitely will be affected, and you'll be a victim of the population control policy.
How will I be affected when I know what they are bringing? I have told you that the fastest means and the closest means to humans where virus gets to the persons is through vaccines. It doesn't come like that. No.
Through the vaccines.
Through vaccines. Through vaccines. And I have mentioned, go back to history of polio and study it carefully and follow up all the arguments that came up with the northern leaders and Bill Gates and Dangote teaming up together to bring solution to a problem that were created by humans in terms of polio. We were told that viruses are living things, like polio was a living thing, COVID-19 was a living thing. And I asked a simple question: how many cells, how many chromosomes? And they could not answer. Even till tomorrow, Farouch cannot answer that question because virus does not have any cell. So since it does not have cell, then that means it does not have any life, because cell is the basic unit of life. So let everybody watch. More business will come. I call it business because it's trading. It will come again. Thank God Farouch has mentioned it. It will come again, but nobody knows when. Maybe then the scare factor will no more be death. Ordinary death.
Another strategy.
I watched a video from somebody in Asia, and the video was channeled through a religious concept they call rapture. That you will watch me, since we'll be here for some time and we are looking at ourselves, that through the light rays, that virus could enter my eyes and you will vanish, or I will vanish. You will see me no more. So when I vanish from in between the two of you, I think the next thing two of you will do is to dash. You will look for the door. And that's pandemic. Everybody will start running. Then you will start believing what you did not see. Somebody will just say, Uncle Joe just vanished. They will say Auntie Becky has vanished. Everybody, then there will be pandemic.
That's another strategy, possible strategy.
So coming next will be more scaring factor than death. This one is death. The next one will look like something like rapture, vanishing.
Okay, let me say big thanks to you again, Professor Cyril Otoihia. As I said before, it's always a delight to have you here, give us perspectives. Well, that's what the media is about, to inform, educate, and entertain you. And when this information come out, you owe yourself a duty, a responsibility to go check for yourself, so it doesn't look like we're just purveying what we feel like. All right, we are not professionals in that sense, but we can always get professionals to ventilate their views. And if you have a contrary view, you can always reach us, bring in here to help with Professor Cyril Otoihia. We've done it before and we'll continue to do it so we can have more perspectives on the issue. Prof, I want to thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much, Sunny Duke. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a short break. We'll be back. This time we'll be talking about forestry and the need to protect the environment. Stay with us.